Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of I'm Josh saying, yes, where applied knowledge is power. Man, I can't wait for y'all to hear this episode, man. You know, we've been on this theme of thriving in a pandemic as well as building wealth. And we have another wealth conversation. But let me get to the business first. And then I can't wait to dive in with my special guest. So I would like to thank our sponsors, which is Pivot Technology School, which is a 20-week accelerator teaching data analytics, web development, and cybersecurity. You can pivot all across the country. So pivot your career today. That's pivottechschool.com. And then we also have special sponsors, Elevated Development and watchyourwealthgrow.com, which you'll hear more about with our special guests. Also, make sure y'all go to greatconvo.com, where the chatter matters. Make sure you subscribe to I'm Josh Saying, all the other podcasts that are hosted by Great Convo Media. Now that all that's out the way, I would like to introduce my special guest. He is a VP of Legal Private Banking at First Horizon. He is the CEO of Elevated Development. And also, I think he is the co-founder. Are you the co-founder of Watch Your Wealth Grow? Yeah, he's the co-founder of watchyourwealthgrow.com. I would like, the I'm Josh Saying universe to give a special welcome to Mr. Herman Hicks. Yes, man. Blow kisses.
Oh, yeah. I gotta give some love. Yeah.
Yes, sir, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Man, you know what? I've been wanting to talk with you about, wealth development and wealth building strategies. And really what actually made me call you, as I think you posted something about getting everybody to the 700 club when it comes to credit score.
Absolutely.
So when I saw you post that, I immediately texted and called you and said, man, I want you on my show because really, I'm taking this fourth quarter, me personally, and with my organizations and businesses that I run. And what we're doing is fourth quarter strategy. So we're building strategy out for the first quarter of January 2021. Perfect. So I feel like our listeners need to be doing the same thing with their personal finances and with their goals, dreams, and things that they want to work on. So I've been having these special guests come and really talk about it. And I really wanted you to come on and really talk about, how do we build wealth? We always talk about, and we talked about it with Chuck, and I always like to address it. We always talk about the wealth gap. And there's so many elements to this wealth gap that plays in it. We already know that, people have had a 400-year head start. We know that. Yeah. But I feel like, man, we can close the gap quickly if we take action. And I think what we're not doing is taking action on the things that we can control. We can't control the past, but what we can't do is control the future. So let's hone in on this wealth gap conversation. I know with Elevated Development, you really work with high schoolers, but from a high schooler standpoint to an adult standpoint, how do you really shape that wealth gap conversation?
Yeah, well, the reason why we're having this discussion is because of the wealth gap, and we know, like you said, it was free labor. So if you liken, so the slave trade was an industry, first of all, and if you liken that to today's stock market, it would be the hottest stock on the market right now because profits would be through the roof because the highest expense in any business is labor. And so if you have free labor, you have all profits, just all profit. And so with the perpetuation of low wages, high interest rate, low credit scores, and the lack of liquidity, the wealth gap has continued and gotten larger. And so I looked at some figures today, and amongst baby boomers, 75 or greater or older, you got about a $300,000 wealth gap. Now, let me break down what wealth is, okay? Yeah. The IRS says that there's three ways you can make money, all right? You can make money investing in real estate, you can make money investing in a business, and you can make money investing in the stock market, all right? Yeah. Those are your three wealth creators, all right? So when you bring in a stream of income, that is what it is. It's a stream of income. That's not wealth. Okay. You have to take that stream of income and you have to invest that into something. You have to take some risk. All right. And so taking that risk allows you to continue to start building wealth. So what's happened is you have a long period of time of individuals, privileged individuals, taking advantage of investing in different wealth strategies, those 3 wealth strategies. Great example. This is a great example. So every year we have a where we prepare for next year at first at the bank. So we do a strategic planning session. Yep. So we recently did, in 18, we did it at ASCAP. So ASCAP is the entity that pays all of the artists, okay? ASCAP and BMI, they control 85% of that market, all right? ASCAP was started in the year of 1914, okay? Plessy v. Ferguson was 1896. So dealing with me, you're going to get some science and some history.
Come on.
Plessy Ferguson was 1896. That's separate but equal. Jim Crow, all right? Half of three-fifths of a man. 1914, ASCAP starts. 1914. So if you compare that to the Black experience in America at 1914, you have separate but equal, three-fifths of a man, Plessy v. Ferguson. But you have individuals that started a company that could thrive from 1914 to 2020. So during that whole period of time to 1964, Black people were not able to create and start businesses at that scale. All right. And so to this day, ASCAP pays out all of this money. They probably make, I think the gentleman said they make about $2 billion a year, or they pay out about $2 billion a year. It's a nonprofit. And most of those payouts go to who? Rap, R&B, gospel. Yep. Most of those go to those types of artists, which usually are in the African-American community. And so they make money off of us. So we don't control that. So my point is because of the wealth gap, we've lost control and power of our financial opportunities. Now, the key to that is to understand, to not feel bad of where you are. A lot of us feel real bad where we are because we don't have the savings account. We don't have the 401k. We don't have all the real estate. See everybody online and it's a herd. Somebody, Tesla, it's a herd of people running to investments because they don't have it. Well, we have to take this emotion out. And so my goal is to put some science in this, okay? We need science in this to build, all right? And so so with the wealth gap, don't feel bad where you are, all right? Don't feel bad where you are. Just start building wealth now. And if you would allow me, Josh, I want to go through a little wealth building activity.
Come on, man. Let's go, brother. We here to learn, my brother. Let's go.
All right. Yes, so what we use in elevated development is what I call the circle of wealth. All right. And I use this with very affluent and high net worth individuals. All right. So the first thing that we talk about is sources of income. That's the first thing. All right. And so it's very important to not just get caught up in getting a degree. All right. That's not the only way you can make money.
Right.
You can get a degree. You can get a certification. Now, Pivot Tech, I'm gonna throw you a plug right now.
Please.
Get certifications. The more certifications that you get, the more money you can charge. Go get a Pivot Tech certification.
Yes.
Go get that computer tech certification so you can broaden your horizons. If you're an engineer, if you're a doctor, you can also have a tech certification that you can increase your sources of income.
Yeah. Right? Let me interject on that point right there, because when we talk about wealth gap, we talk about wage gap. The average income for African-American individual in Nashville is $35,000.
Wow.
The combined income is about 60. And that's a man and woman in a household. Mm-hmm. The average technology job is paying $65,000. So one person in the household is making $65,000, and then the other one is making $35,000. You, ladies and gentlemen, just have a 6-figure household. That in itself can close the wealth gap fast. But what we do is we don't take action on the things that we need to take action on. And then we just keep putting it off. And then we look up 10 years from now and wonder why our net worth hasn't grown any. So we've got to take action. All right.
Yeah,
I just want
absolutely.
to just throw that in there real quick. All right. Go ahead.
And no, that's right and exact. We got to take action, and that's getting a degree, getting a business license. Monetize your hustle. I'm really tired. I'm gonna be the good guy and the bad guy, but I am tired of the hustle mentality. Monetize your hustle. LLC your hustle. Legitimize your hustle. Okay.
Yeah.
Put a framework around your hustle. So you got license, you got certifications, you got degrees, you got designations, you got all of these different avenues that you can create sources of income. All right. So you got to do that. Source of income. The next thing is credit. All right. The purpose of credit is to set interest rates. All right. So if you're trying to build wealth, you can't build wealth based on high interest rate debt. All right. And what that means is when you're looking at your portfolio, and financial planning is key to this. This is what we have to start doing as well as financial planning. And that's creating short-term and long-term goals. Okay. Short-term, 12 months or less, long-term, anything after that. Okay. So you're creating a financial plan comprehensively. And so your credit score is a reflection of your interest rates. So you want a high credit score so you can have low interest rates. How can you build wealth if you're paying out 20% in interest? All right. Just something to think about. Now, that's not the only thing that you have to do, but that's part of it. One thing I did like that Chuck said is changing the mentality of throwing all your money at your debt, but start investing that money. Yeah. So it's a nice little balance right there. You need to chop down the high interest rate, but also invest at the same time. Okay. Yes, sir. We're going to talk a little bit more about interest rates in a minute. The next thing is debt to income, is cash flow management, is budgeting. All right. Debt to income. If you've bought a house before, you have to have a 45% or less debt to income. Chuck said 30%. I'm saying 45%. Pick whatever one you like to live by. But 45% of your income should be derived to debt, 45% or less. That scenario you said where you got a $60,000 house income, if we took 50% of 60,000, or I'm sorry, 60,000, if you annualize that to 5,000 a month, and you took 50% of that, that's $2,500. Okay. Yeah. So you already at 50% debt to income, just paying out $2,500. So once you buy your house and your mortgage is $1,800, you only have $700 more to spend after that. You see what I'm saying? Yep. So the wages are important. That's why, since the wages are low, that means our credit scores are low. We need higher wages. We got to get more sources of income. Guess what protects your credit? Sources of income. That's what protects your credit. All right. Debt to income also protects your credit. Yes, one thing in banking, when I get somebody in and they have a high debt to income, over 45%, guess what? They usually have a low credit score because they can't pay their bills. All right. So the correlation is there. High credit score, low debt to income. And what does that mean? That means you have more money to invest. The next portion of building wealth is retirement. Okay. You have to start thinking about retirement. All right. Retirement is the foundation. The reason why retirement is important is it is tax. It could be tax-free. The growth on it's tax-free. So I'm thinking of a 401k IRA scenario. Chuck mentioned Roth IRA. That's a golden opportunity. If you don't make over 100,000, 125,000, the Roth IRA is a perfect place to be. But you can also do a traditional IRA. If you're a business owner, you can do a SEP or a simple IRA. So there's different mechanisms. The reason why I like retirement is it's protected. And what that means is if your ass gets sued out here, you won't lose it. If you don't pay your house note and you get sued, you won't lose your retirement. They can't touch it. Creditors can't touch your retirement. The only person that can bust your retirement up is a judge in court. Okay. Or the IRS. Yeah. Really, the IRS really can't touch it either, but a judge can step in and say, hey, you're going to pay your spouse half of your IRA or 401k. Okay, yeah. So it's protected. Yeah. So it's the foundation. So all else fails, you fall on the foundation to get back up. That's why you want to get it. It's going to come into play later on in our discussion because it's important in the scalability realm. When we talk about business and scalability a little bit later, I really want to talk about that as well. But once you get your retirement together, All right. So you've created some sources of income. You're paying your bills on time. All right. You're managing your cash flow. Okay. You start investing in some retirement. You start getting that money into that retirement. Now you're ready to go to what I call the opportunity fund. All right. Remember what I said? There's 3 ways you can make money. So guess what's in the opportunity fund? Investing in real estate, investing in a business, investing in the stock market. All right. All 3 of those are risky, but all 3 of those have a return. If you invest in one, you need to bring the other 2 in. So if you start a business, you need to look at bringing in real estate and the stock market. If you're just in the stock market, look at bringing in real estate and business. You see what I'm saying? So you have to get into 3. When I look at very successful, wealthy individuals, one thing that they have on their portfolio is a diverse mix of asset classes in a business, in real estate, and in the stock market. You don't have to be an owner operator of a business to have investment in a business.
Nope.
You don't have to be a real estate expert to have investments in real estate. You don't have to be a stock market expert to have investments in the stock market. So get one, bring in the other 2. And those 3 elements all roll back up to sources of income. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
They're all sources of income. So when we talk about protection, you put your protection strategies around your opportunity fund. All right.
Gotcha.
And we'll talk about that a little more later on too. Your retirement is already protected and it's beneficiary, meaning you designate somebody for that asset to go to when you die. And it's not if you die, but it's when you die.
When you
got to start talking about, we got to start realizing that we're going to die. You know what I'm saying?
And really, I think, I don't know if Black people feel like we feel like we're immortal or something, because it's like piss poor planning.
Yeah,
is really what's killing us around that wealth gap, because we're having generations start from scratch.
Right.
Every single time. So upon my death, my son has to start from scratch.
Exactly.
And try to figure it out. And then when his son has to start from scratch. And when we can really, at a young age, get a basic life insurance policy of $100,000, you're paying only $20 a month, you know, but upon your passing, that $100,000 goes to your beneficiary, which they have $100,000 to really start, you know, building that wealth. So It's like really starting ahead of time and really thinking about, death is going to happen. 2 things are for certain: death and taxes. All right. So you got to have to pay both. Right.
We need to capitalize on both of them.
we do.
Pay lower taxes and prepare for death. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head. And what hurt my feelings as I began to work with some of these wealthy individuals, they could care less about life insurance. And let me tell you why. The money that they were pumping into so when you buy life insurance, and some of the advisors may not like this, but I'm gonna just give you the real.
Come on.
If I have a young person out of college with a professional degree, they have a bunch of student loans, they have a bunch of debt, I'm not gonna put them in a whole life policy. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna put them in a term policy. Wealthy individuals leverage term policies because the financial planning tool, if we're doing financial planning, what'll happen is I sign up for a 20 or 30-year policy to cover all of my debt, and to leave my kids and my wife so they can go to college, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
However, as I build my assets up, I don't need a life insurance policy because insurance becomes more expensive as I get older. Yes. So when I'm 55, I don't need to invest in any type of life insurance because I've built up my 401k, I've built up my IRA, I've built up my brokerage account, my real estate, my business. So a lot of the clients I work with don't have life insurance. We use life insurance as a way to get return on our money, on their money from not having any return on savings accounts. So we use it to leverage different mechanisms so we can gain a return on cash money.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's a different type of life insurance. So what type of it is that more of an IUL, or is that different?
It can be all types of different things. It could be an IUL. It could be an IUL, but it could be different things. So, there's different companies that will offer. They'll have a 6-month offering, like MetLife will have a 6-month offering because they know wealthy individuals need somewhere to park money because savings accounts are not paying it. So they say, hey, we'll give you a 2-year lockup and we'll give you a guaranteed 3% rate. So you lock that money up for 2 years, get it 3%, as opposed to putting it into a savings account and earning 0.02%.
Correct.
So when we talk about building wealth, we got to expand our mind. We got to start thinking bigger. Okay. Yes. Chuck mentioned about the federal exemption, 11.5 million. Why I never see that discussion in anybody's discussion on social media. We're not talking about that because we're not there. Okay. Yeah. We maybe have 5 people in Nashville that maybe fall into that category, and we put a lot of pressure on Mr. Darrell Freeman because he's kind of like the ahead of everybody, and he's the only one that, so he has a lot of pressure on him because he's the only person that experiences these types of things. Okay. Right. Again, I'm going to drop something else. If I've got assets built up over 11.5 million, there's something called a GRAT, Grantor Retained Annuity Trust. All right. What that means is, let me tell you how slick this is. Let me tell you how this whole capitalistic system is geared towards wealthy individuals. So I have 50 million in my estate. I can execute a GRAT, Grantor Retained Annuity Trust. What that means is I can start pulling assets out of my estate and putting it in my kids' estate, putting it in my grandkids' estate. All right. But guess what? I can still take the income from those assets. So all of our assets are income producing. So I take the assets out of my estate, put it in my kids, my grandkids' estate, set them up already, and I still take the income until I die. And so, or for a period of time, depending upon whether you got an income trust or an annuity trust. So there's techniques out there. That's a protection strategy. All right. Yeah. That's a protection strategy around your opportunity fund, a GRAT. So trusts are a great protection strategy. If somebody's talking about building wealth and they're not talking about protection strategies and titling of assets, then they're not building wealth. They just have money at risk at that point.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember, an income stream is not wealth. That's just money coming in. You have to do something with that money you have to invest that money for it to become wealth, and then you have to protect that. Otherwise, Josh, I don't know how many times I've gotten a call where somebody's died. They never did a will. They never properly titled the asset. The asset then goes to probate. What that means is all the creditors can get at that. You call me, by that time, it's too late. There's nothing I can do at that point. Call me before you die. Let's properly set it up, because titling of assets is just as important. The only thing that has beneficiaries are your retirement assets. So when you start a business, when you invest in real estate, when you invest in the stock market, none of that has titles to it. And all of that will go to a probate court. What a trust does, it protects you from creditors, debtors, outlaws, and in-laws. It also allows you to govern from the grave. Okay. Yeah. Very important. We got to start thinking about this. We got to expand our mentality to say, hey, my business is going to earn $10 million this year. It's going to earn $10 million next year. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to have a business that may be worth $20-30 million. Right now, from my estimation, we don't have a lot of businesses that's worth $5 million.
We don't, bro.
So we're playing in the small business sandbox all the time.
That's what's really, so next week, I'm going to be launching this thing. I've been holding back, man. I really feel like Black Nashville as a whole needs a strategic plan.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to focus because, people get sensitive when you get in their lane. So I'm just going to focus in on the business sector and really figuring out how we can put a strategic plan together to be very intentional when it comes to Black business. Because right now we're thinking too small, man. Yeah. Our mindsets are too small, and we're only on chicken shacks and hair salons and barbershops. Yeah. And when we have billion-dollar opportunities in the government that we're not bidding on, when you have so many opportunities that's taking place with the 8A program, with so many programs that are set up for us to win, but we don't want to get our business together, or we want to continue to do business under the table and not do business properly. And I feel like we need a framework in which to get people from wanting to do Negro business. And I'm not going to say the word because we got other people that listen to this show. So we got to stop doing Negro business and start really doing real business because, you know, our futures and they depend on it, man. And it's like, we have to start thinking bigger. We have to start building. What we've gotten caught up in is starting businesses. Right. We do that well.
Very well.
You know, we start them well, but we don't build them well.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in the starting business phase so that we can post it on social media. Everybody congratulate us. And then we don't hear nothing else. Yeah. we don't hear nothing. We just see the beginning and the end, but we don't see nothing in between. It's like, we have to take that in between time to really start building businesses, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and you hit the nail on the head. It's about building the business. And as I mentioned before, we're in a wealth gap. So what that means is the Black GDP is also compressed. So we also have to get outside of the Black GDP to also build money, to build our business. The wealth gap is not a black and white problem. It's an American problem. All right.
Exactly.
So we have to get outside of the Black community and sell products to the Asians, to white America, to anybody else. You know, we have to get into that mentality. We have to scale our business. Yep. And the whole thing about scalability is having your business structure together and having your personal structure together. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about going to get a loan for $100,000, but let's talk about that for a second. So we're talking about scalability. So if I go get a loan, if I access capital of $100,000 and I invest that back into my business and I yield a 10% return, that is $10,000. So I've made $10,000 for the year. All right. So let's scale that up. Let's take that same 10% return and scale that up to $1 million. Yeah. So I invest $1 million into my business. I get access to capital to $1 million and get a 10% return. That's $100,000.
Yeah.
So that's $10,000 versus $100,000. Over 10 years, I've made another $1 million with that $1 million. And that doesn't include any compound interest if I invest it into the market or into any other asset, income producing assets. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that $1 million over 10 years can quickly turn to $3 million very quick. And that's realistic. I'm not giving y'all a pie in the sky. I'm just telling you what I've seen and what's happening. So to get to that $1 million, we have to have some level of liquidity. Yes. So when I'm going to apply good business, a good credit score, and you don't have any liquidity, you're going to have a hard time getting access. And that's just how capitalism and banking works. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So think about if we're able to access $10 million with a 10% return. We're looking at $1 million. So we've got to start thinking about, how do I gain access to $1 million, to $2 million, to $3 million? One way to do that is obviously you have to build up your personal financial statement, meaning you got to get your personal net worth together, because in today's climate, it is a global look at who you are. So you own a business, it looks at the business and your individual. So what I mean by that is pay yourself. You have to pay yourself, but don't pay yourself to go buy cars, things like that. Don't pay yourself for that. Pay yourself and as if the money was still sitting on the balance sheet of your company. Put it into an asset class that's liquid, that creates liquidity for you. Because when you go to get $10 million, you have to have some level of liquidity. And a lot of us don't have that liquidity because of the wealth gap. So if you can see how all of this relates. So the reason why I wanted to talk about the wealth gap is it compresses our ability to access capital, which gives us the opportunity to scale. We have to be able to scale for us to actually build wealth. And if we're playing in the small business sandbox forever, we will always be in the small business sandbox. And I want to get into the worldly global sandbox.
Yes. And so you can compound all those issues, because if you look at it, we don't have any Black businesses that can afford $30 a square foot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So $30 a square foot is the commercial, that's the universal commercial price to really do business in the city. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at, we're speaking from a North Nashville perspective. So if you look at North Nashville and all the new development that's going to be taking place and all of those commercial spots that's going to be opening up. So from Trinity Lane to all these Bordeaux, all these areas, we don't have any businesses that can go into those places. So that means that we have to really step it up, my people. We got to really step up the type of businesses that we're doing. Figure out ways that we can grow our businesses, scale our businesses, because at the end of the day, that's the only way that we can really invest in our own neighborhoods. They don't like the word gentrify, but revitalize our own neighborhoods. How can we revitalize our own neighborhoods when we can't afford the businesses that go in them? We build commercial spots, but we don't have any Black businesses that can go in them because we can't afford the rent. Right. So it's like we have to really just level it up and step up the way that we think and really just go after the things that stretch you. Go after the things that you feel like that you can't accomplish. If that's the thing, then go after that one. If it's too easy, don't go after that one. Go after the thing that's hard for you, because that's what we need. That's what the community needs, really.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree with you. And it starts with planning. It starts with personal financial planning, and it starts with strategic business planning. We have to sit down with somebody like a Chuck Winfrey, like a Herman Hicks, like a Monty Murph, like a Eric Merriweather. We have to sit down with these people, Marcus Johnson. You have to sit down with these people and create a financial plan. What are your short-term goals? I want to buy a house in 12 months. I want to start a business in 24 months. I want to buy some real estate in 36 months. Plan it out. I got kids. I need to create their educational program because I want them to go to school tuition free. I want to retire when I'm 60. People say I want to retire when I'm 60, but they have no financial plan. Make it realistic. Create your financial plan. And then once you create your financial plan for yourself, make that marry your strategic business plan for your company, for your real estate, for your stock market investments, okay? Put your stretch goals in there. Not only have I'm going to make a 5% year over year increase in my business. My stretch goal is I'm going to make 15% year over year increase in my business. Let's put some stretch goals on ourselves. We are in a situation where things got jumbled up. Now the dust is settling. We have to take advantage of the dust settling and we have to come up out the ashes and be ready to go. That means we have to legitimize our hustles. That means we have to have some strategic planning. That means we have to understand how we can all work together. And we don't have to work together in a capacity where we all are meeting together, but we just have to come together like Voltron. Everybody in your lane, execute on what you do. Okay.
Come on, my brother.
Execute
You talking, bro.
you do well. And let's meet. You know what I'm saying? I love to meet. Case in point, I'm at the table. I'm closing a $2 million commercial real estate deal. Owner occupied, meaning the owner of the business is occupying more than 51% of the space. Okay. Yep. That's more favorable terms for you, for your business owners. Remember when I said, if you're a business owner, try to bring the other two in. So try to buy you some real estate to put your business in. Anyway, I'm sitting at the table and it's a Black man across the table from me. And I've never been in a $2, $3, $5, $6, $7, $10 million closing. And there's a Black man across from me that's representing or involved in the transaction. That's just how it's been for me. Yeah. And that brother was right there. And I loved meeting that brother across the table from me because I'm not used to that. That's not customary in this space. And so that's what I want to do. I want to be able to meet people at these transactions, at these closing tables. You know what I'm saying? And that way, I know we are working to close that wealth gap, because if we're closing the wealth gap, that means we're scaling our businesses. Yes, that's the inverse. We're closing the wealth gap. That means we're scaling. That means we're getting larger. Okay. And so that's what's important to me. And as we scale our businesses and we start to build wealth, like I said, you have to start transferring some of that wealth in your businesses onto your personal financial statement so you can continue to gain access, but also so you can transfer that over to your kids. Okay?
Yes, sir. Let's discuss this one thing real quick, because I think, when you come up in business and starting businesses, one of the worst things people tell you to do is write off everything. That is the worst thing that you can do. Yeah. Especially if you're trying to invest, especially in real estate. If you're trying to buy something, if you're trying to make purchases within the next 3 or 4 years, it really depends on your goals. Okay. If your goals are not to really buy anything, or, you know, you're good where you are when it comes to investing or buying real estate, or you don't see yourself making any purchases, then yes, write off so you don't have to pay those taxes. But if you're trying to make some power moves, then you're gonna have to show that you make some money, because you ain't gonna be able to go into Herman's bank and get $1 million loan and you done wrote off everything, and at the end you done made $10,000. It's just not going to happen.
Nothing racist about that.
You know, nothing racist. It is nothing racist about that. But I think we get misinformed when it comes to really about taxes, and we run from them. But if you're trying to you have to make a decision. Yeah. What are my 1 to 2 year goals? If it's to invest in real estate, guess what? You're gonna have to look good on paper. Yep. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't to invest in real estate and you're not going to make any moves, then cool, write it off so you can save that money so you can make some moves within the next 2 years or 4 years or whatever. So it really depends on your goals, but really we have to stop writing off everything where it's showing that you ain't making no money, so you can't make any moves.
Right. And you hit the nail on the head. Is strategic planning. That's what that's what I'm trying to kick to people. Watch Your Wealth Grow is a complete platform of personal financial planning.
All right, come on. That's a great segue. Talk about watchyourwealthgrow.com.
Yeah, so watchyourwealthgrow.com is a planning platform. And so how can you say what you're doing if you haven't created a plan? One thing that's very consistent amongst all ultra high net worth and affluent individuals is a financial plan. If you haven't done a financial plan within the last 12 months, you need to do one, because you don't know where you are or where you're going at that point. You just have a bunch of dots on the page. You have no roadmap. You may have redundant investments. That's the biggest thing that I see is bad investments because you don't have a financial plan. Somebody says, and nothing against my people that's selling the IULs, it's a necessary product that we need, but just going to buy IUL just to go buy it doesn't make sense. Going investing in the stock market just to go do it because the herd does it doesn't make sense. What is your financial plan? What are your goals? What are your goals as a business owner? Are you wanting to buy real estate in the next 3 years? As you said, you need to make sure your financials look the part. You can't just walk into a bank and not know, and your primary source of repayment is operations from your business, and you negative 10,000. That's not going to work. No. Okay. You have to create these plans. And so watchyourwealthgrow.com helps you to create plans. So what we're focused on is a lot of organizations. We're doing a lot of seminars for a lot of organizations due to COVID. So we're in-person people talking to people. We can't do that now. So we're working with a lot of organizations and trying to get organizations to their members to do financial planning. But Josh, if you haven't done a financial plan in the last 12 months, you need to go do one. Yeah. Everybody out there, if you haven't done a financial plan in the last 12 months, go get it done. See where you are. If you say you're going to retire at the age of 60, does your assets reflect that? If they don't, what is your gap? You don't know what your gap is. You may have to save $2,000 more a year, or you may have to save $50 more a year. But you need to know that. You need to be able to go to sleep at nighttime and understand where am I going to be in 12 months? Where am I going to be in 24 months? Then as things hit you, as COVID hits you, as pandemics hit you, as tornadoes hit you, you're ready for it. You're prepared for it. The one thing I talked to Napier Luby about not too long ago, which is the Black Law Group organization here in Nashville, was being recession proof. And the people and the examples that I used, the people were flush with liquidity. That means you can get to the cash in 3 days or less. They had nice real estate holdings. They had investments in businesses. Wasn't a lot. Both of the people that the examples that I used were $3 million or less in net worth, but the way that they positioned their assets, they were ready to withstand years worth of recessions. Okay. We don't have that. We get hit now, and it's okay. I know our community's struggling. We get because of the wealth gap. If we get hit now, we're going to be scrambling. You got a lot of people scrambling out here. Well, my answer to that is go ahead and start the circle of wealth. Start focusing on creating sources of income for yourself. Start working on your credit. Start managing your cash flow, cutting out the cable, cutting out shit that you don't need. Start investing in your retirement. Get a nest egg, get a foundation, and then take some risk. You got to take some risk and then protect that risk and prepare that for transfer to the next generation. That's why I like talking to high school kids, because they haven't stepped out there. They don't have bad credit. They haven't made bad investments. They're still trying to figure out. They just need a pathway to success. How can I earn money? Well, this is the way you do. You need to get a degree. You need to get a license. You need to get a certificate. You need to go to Pivot Technology. You need to get some stuff to make some money, to charge people money. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So it's just a mind state. And then on top of that, I know this is a lot and this is a matrix, but on top of that, we got to start thinking bigger. We don't have to get outside the box. We just have to move the box out. We have to make the box bigger. You see what I'm saying? We really have to start taking more risk. And it's easier said than done, but the point of it is if we're really going to close the wealth gap, if we're going to be successful financially, we have to scale. We have to take some risks. We have to have our structures together. We have to get knowledge. One thing you and Chuck talked about was investing in yourself. Got to do that. You've got sit down with a financial planner, sit down with an investment advisor, sit down with your banker, sit down with your lawyer, sit down with your CPA, create those plans and those strategies and then execute on them.
Come on, man.
We have to, and then the last thing, and then jump in, we have to take away the emotions of money and we got to inject science. We got to look at the numbers. 45% debt to income or less. That's what we need. So if you go to buy a Lexus and you run your debt to income and your debt to income is 57%, leave the Lexus dealership and go to the Toyota dealership. Okay. Keep it in the purest form. Okay. Not everybody understands this, but I understand this very well. We are in a place to where the wealth gap is so large that, us buying big ticket items is a strain on our backs. And so don't do it to yourself. Keep it scientific. Create your plans, execute your plans, and then work from the numbers. Don't just always work from the gut. Get some numbers in it too. When you manage in a business, you may make a gut decision on an investment, but when you make a managerial decision on the top line, the bottom line revenue, it's based on the numbers. Let's base it on the numbers.
We got to eliminate emotions out of all decisions that we make sound plans. So look, man, I know I took notes and we're going to go over these notes and so you all can write these down. So I took them. So number one is sources of income. Evaluate your income coming in. If you have a job, cool. That's one source. What other sources can you add to that job? All right. That's one. Number two, your credit. Your credit is important. All right. So take the steps. I know COVID has happened. The tornado, if you're from Nashville, so many things has happened to people financially. And sometimes you have to sacrifice your credit now because, you can't pay your bills and you're only on the essentials, the lights, water, your rent, I understand that, but make sure you focus in on your credit, getting out of debt, but getting those debt to income ratios. That's what's really important. Not really about getting out of debt, but it's about the debt to income ratio. That's important. Also too, retirement. The next is opportunity fund. So your real estate, business, and the stock market. And then the last one is think bigger. All right. Take more risk. You can't build wealth and scared. They say what? Scared money
don't make money.
Don't make no money, man.
Gotta take some risk. The beauty of it is you got your retirement. Start working on that now. Today, everybody that's listening to this, tomorrow, go ahead and start investing in some type of vehicle that's protected, that gives you tax advantage. All your retirement accounts give you some sort of 401k, IRA. Those give you tax advantage, investing, compounding interest. Go ahead and invest in that. Let that be a nest egg so you can take those risks. And if those risks fail, you have that foundation to fall on. Okay.
Come on, man.
Starts with the planning. You got to plan for all of this. You can't just wake up one day and want to start a business. That's bullshit. We got to stop doing that. We got to plan it out, be strategic, be scientific, and make good decisions and surround yourself with good people that understand how to do that stuff.
Come on, man. So look, how do they find you, Herman? If somebody wants to set up an appointment with you and talk with you further about really developing their wealth strategies, how do they get in contact with you?
It's real easy. All you got to do is go to watchyourwealthgrow.com. If personally or your family, if you want to look at doing some financial planning and get yourself together, that's where it starts. You can also find me on elevateddevelopment.org. That website is under construction. Plan to have that up and running either this week or next week. Or you can catch me at hahicks@firsthorizon.com. So I'm all over the place and everywhere because I need to be.
Come on, man. And look, also too, the very first comment. So as you listen to this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, the very first person that comments or subscribes, likes, and shares, I'm Josh Saying featuring Herman Hicks will get a $50 gift certificate courtesy of Elevated Development, watchyourwealthgrow.com, and First Horizon, VP of Legal Private Banking, man. Well, thank you so very much for joining. I'm Josh Saying, man. It's really important that we give our people the tools that they need to be successful, and you continue to do that in our communities, and I really do appreciate that, my brother. And thank you all so very much for listening. Make sure y'all tune in next week for another episode of I'm Josh Saying. We out.
Peace.
Peace.